Whether it was the gold rush, the great earthquake of 1906, the AIDS, HIV pandemic, or many of the research things that have made the world a better place in medicine, UCSF was in the forefront of it. Today, our conversation with Assistant Vice Chancellor of UCSF, Larry Zeiber. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Well, I mean, it is true. The history of San Francisco is the history of UCSF.
Yeah, we really like to think that UCSF is central to the city and vice versa. I mean, we've grown up together.
Yeah.
This year marks our 150th anniversary of the founding of Tolan Medical College. And you mentioned the gold rush. Actually, UCSF was founded by a physician from South Carolina who was lured to the Bay Area by the gold rush, hoping to make a fortune. Sadly, Hugh Tolan failed at making a fortune, but did set up a medical practice in San Francisco,
right,
which went on to become Tolan Medical College.
Now, you have been here in San Francisco for 4 years.
That's correct. Providence, Rhode Island.
How unique is the place that UCSF has within the city of San Francisco to other hospitals around the country, or Providence, or whatnot? I mean, it seems like it's inextricably linked with the history of the city.
Absolutely. I think the history of the city has driven the evolution of UCSF. From the 1906 earthquake, when the city sent up a tent city in Golden Gate Park, just at the foot of Tolan Medical College. Medical faculty and students provided services and care for many of the individuals living in the tent city. Mm-hmm. And at that time, the need for more highly qualified nurses was identified. So UCSF the next year in 1907 opened a school of nursing.
Now, you know, we have seen, I've lived here almost 30 years, have seen the imprint, actually the footprint of UCSF grow and grow. I remember when I moved to town, Mission Bay was just a bunch of train tracks. Right. And now it seems like it's a whole city, and most of that city is UCSF. How important is Mission Bay to the work that UCSF is doing?
Mission Bay is the economic driver. I mean, it really fuels a lot of the research enterprise of UCSF. So much of the clinical care is currently at the Parnassus campus, but when we were running out of land there, the need for additional space, a new campus, was identified.
Right, and UCSF is actually the second largest employer in San Francisco, correct?
That's correct. We have just over 22,000 employees, so the second largest employer next to the city itself.
Right. Now, your job is what specifically?
My job specifically is to help fundraise, raise funds for many of the noble causes at UCSF. Right now, we're closing the final phase of a campaign for the new medical center at Mission Bay, which will open February 1st, 2015. It was a $600 million fundraising endeavor, and we're nearly at that goal, but we still have a long way to go.
Yeah, I mean, fundraising is always a challenge. What is it like to raise money on such a massive level? I mean, you're not getting $5 and $10 donations.
Yeah. Well, actually, the $5 and $10 donations make a difference, too. We are fortunate to have some very generous donors. But more importantly, we have many friends within the community. So as part of fundraising, we're also friend raising and raising awareness of UCSF. We have been here for 150 years, but I don't know that the local community truly appreciates the discoveries that have been driven from our research enterprise.
Well, I mean, that leads me to the next question. I mean, we all see UCSF if we live here and work in the Bay Area. We've probably had friends or family who've been treated there. But what would you like people to take away from this 150th celebration? What would you like people to realize, wow, that's something that UCSF does and has improved my life that I had no idea they were involved in?
Yeah. I think many people in the community recognize that UCSF is a wonderful place to go for clinical care. We have some of the best clinicians in the country. Just this past week, U.S. News and World Report announced their top hospitals again, and UCSF was in the top 10. So I think many people are aware that we have excellent care across many disciplines. I think that what they don't realize is that in addition to the clinical enterprise, there's also a strong research component and a community service aspect as well.
Well, you know, I remember a few years ago that movie Contagion that came out, and I saw the movie and I saw the backdrop and I said, wow, that's UCSF. It made me think in a way way, you know, if something like this ever did happen on planet Earth, UCSF researchers would probably be right in the forefront of it.
Absolutely.
I mean, what are some of the advances in medicine, or some of the discoveries that have been laid at the feet or on the desks or under the microscopes of UCSF researchers?
Well, I think there are too many to list, but I think one that we need to talk about over and over is the discovery of HIV. Dr. Jay Levy, a UCSF cancer researcher, actually co-discovered the HIV virus in 1983. And UCSF since that time has pioneered care, partnering with San Francisco General Hospital, established the San Francisco model of treating HIV and AIDS, which has really become a worldwide best practice.
You know, we all are still reeling from the crash recently of the plane in Ukraine with almost 100 AIDS researchers that were on their way to the AIDS conference. How big a part of the UCSF research effort is still devoted to AIDS, HIV? I mean, a lot of people seem to think, oh, well, this epidemic is over, but it's not.
Well, I think it is. It certainly is not. I think we're still pioneering ways of helping individuals lead longer, better lives. And I think that's just one aspect of our mission. You know, certainly working advancing multiple sclerosis research and neuroscience research broadly has also been a big part of UCSF. You know, so it really spans the spectrum of infectious disease, neurosciences, and cancer research.
Right. What have you learned since you've been here? Something that you thought, wow, I didn't know UCSF did that.
Yeah. I think the role that UCSF faculty and students play in educating many students within the San Francisco Unified School District is something that I was completely unaware of. But we have faculty, students throughout the year teaching science education in the San Francisco School District, which I think just goes to the public service mission that we don't talk about nearly enough.
Well, talk to me a little bit about that. I mean, besides being a place that does research that will improve the lives of people in the future and deals with people's illnesses in real time, what about the teaching aspect? How does UCSF not only train that next generation of researcher, that next generation of medical professional, doctors and nurses and whatnot, but where do you find them? Where do you get all the talent that actually makes UCSF so world-renowned as a teaching university?
I think we're fortunate to have a great reputation, and it attracts terrific students. So I think our student base, you know, really helps drive advances. I mean, they think more out of the box than many people, you know, who have been in the field for many, many years. I think having individual schools of medicine, dentistry, pharmacy, nursing, and a graduate division really sets up a unique environment where medical school students are talking to dental students. So that collaboration is really where the most exciting advances get made.
And literally UCSF draws its student body and its professional teachers and doctors and researchers from around the world, correct?
Absolutely. In addition to having 22,000 employees, faculty and staff, you know, we have a student base of roughly 3,000 individuals, and they come from all over the globe. You know, so it's a difference of perspective that really advances our thinking.
So does UCSF have an imprint outside of the Bay Area? I mean, are there, I won't say branches, but are there places that UCSF has in other countries devoted to finding that next researcher, finding the person that's going to come up with a cure for cancer or a treatment for AIDS?
Many schools do have outposts around the world. UCSF does not, but I think our researchers, you know, our faculty are constantly traveling. You know, they're, you know, visiting third world countries to help improve health conditions there. So we do have a large footprint, but not a physical location that we consider, you know, a secondary location.
Now, as part of the 150th, I mean, you're going to draw attention to this great work you've done, but I mean, there's going to be a little bit of celebrating along the way. Talk to me about some of the events that are going to mark this incredible historic benchmark, 150 years.
Yeah, well, it's a great year to have a celebration. As I mentioned, we're fortunate that our new medical center will be opening in February of 2015, and certainly that will be the cornerstone of our celebration period. But even leading up to the opening of the medical center on September 6th, we'll be hosting a hard hat walk, a 5K walk, open to the Bay Area community. community, starting and ending at the Mission Bay Hospital, to help raise funds and visibility. Be a great day to celebrate that milestone. But in addition to that, we'll be having lectures within the community over the course of the year focused on wellness topics. So not only is UCSF a place that you go when you're ill, but we want to help you lead a better life when you're not sick.
Right. Well, you know, this is a development we've seen across the medical community in the last several decades. The pursuit of wellness versus, hi, you're sick, so we're going to treat you. I mean, how involved is UCSF specifically in that wellness movement?
Our Osher Center for Integrative Medicine is really takes the lead on that front. We have a mini medical school as well. So over the course of the year, community lectures where individuals come to hear from top clinicians and researchers about things that they can do now to stay well longer.
Right. In our last few moments, talk to me a little bit about something else that's going on this year, which is partly within the realm of UCSF, the Bay Area Science Festival. How does that all well?
The Bay Area Science Festival, again, demonstrates UCSF's commitment to educating the next generation. Over the course of the next few months, there'll be science festivals throughout the Bay Area, culminating with an event at AT&T Park in October, where nearly 30,000 children and their family members will come to listen to lectures and to celebrate and to have a fun day learning science. Right.
So it's not just about UCSF's history here, it's about teaching for the next generation and creating a whole new history.
Absolutely.
Here's to another 150 years.
Here's to 150 years. We've
been speaking with Larry Zeiber from UCSF. I'm David Perry. We haven't been here for quite 150 years, but we're glad you watch every week. We'll see you next week on 10%.